Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Channel. Tonight, we are stepping into a world that surrounds us every day. A world rooted in soil, reaching toward light, and alive with decisions unfolding moment by moment. This is the fascinating world of plant intelligence. What if intelligence does not require a brain, or a beating heart, or even a single central command? What if it can emerge from networks of cells, from leaves responding to their environment, and from roots testing chemicals in the earth? Beneath the stillness of a forest canopy and within the hush of a garden bed, there is constant activity. Signals move, resources shift, choices are made. The green world is not passive. It is responsive, dynamic, and far more perceptive than we once imagined. If you enjoy these gentle journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, all you need to do is relax. Let your muscles soften and allow your breathing to slow. And as your mind begins to gently unwind, join me as we wander through this living world together. Let's begin. Plants solve problems without brains by sensing and responding in real time. Instead of a command center, a plant uses thousands of tiny sensors spread through roots, stems, and leaves. Light, moisture, touch, nutrients, heat, and damage all arrive as signals, and the plant weighs them together. If water is scarce, it may slow new leaves and deepen root growth. If light is patchy, it can shift leaf angles and growth direction to claim better sun. If one branch is shaded, another can become the main investor of energy. This is problem-solving in slow motion, but it is still decision-making. The answer shows up as changed growth, redirected resources, and new chemistry. Time is part of the strategy too. Some choices happen in minutes. Others unfold across weeks as the plant keeps updating its plan. A plant can remember stress and react faster the next time. When drought, heat, or attack strikes, the first response is costly. Building protective proteins, closing pores, or producing bitter compounds uses precious energy. Many plants do not forget that price. After the danger passes, they can remain on alert in a lighter, cheaper way, so the next threat triggers a quicker response. It is like keeping tools laid out on the workbench instead of locked away. In some cases, the memory is written into how genes are switched on and off, using chemical tags that act like bookmarks. The plant is not replaying a thought. It is storing a changed readiness. This can mean a faster closing of stomata during the next dry spell, or a quicker surge of defense chemistry when pests return. Survival often belongs to the prepared. Some plants recruit bodyguards by feeding ants with sweet nectar. A plant cannot chase away a threat, so some species hire muscle. They produce nectar outside the flowers, often along stems or leaves, and ants arrive to drink it like a steady paycheck. In return, the ants patrol. They bite and harass caterpillars. They drive away beetles. They may even attack intruders that land on the plant before they start feeding. This can change the whole mood of a plant's life. A leaf that would have been chewed down can stay intact because it has a defensive alliance. In certain systems, the plant also provides small shelters or extra food bodies, which makes the ants more loyal and more present. It is not friendship. It is trade. The plant converts sugar into security, and the ants convert aggression into protection. That is problem solving with partners. Roots explore soil like scouts, choosing where to invest growth. Soil is not uniform. One pocket may hold moisture, another may hold toxins, and another may hold nothing useful at all. A root tip grows forward while constantly sampling its surroundings with sensitive cells and chemical receptors. When it finds richer ground, it branches more, and it builds a denser network there. When it meets compaction, it can turn, flatten, or thread through cracks. When it hits a dry zone, it may slow and redirect toward wetter areas. This is not random wandering. It is exploration guided by feedback. The plant spends its limited resources where the return is best. Over time, the underground shape becomes a map of choices, etched in living tissue. What you do not see in a garden is often the most intelligent part. Leaves trade chemical messages, warning neighbors about hungry insects. When an insect starts feeding, a plant can release scents into the air that carry information. Nearby plants that detect those molecules can begin preparing before they are bitten. They may toughen leaf tissue, raise bitter compounds, or shift the chemistry of sap to make feeding less rewarding. In some systems, the message is even more strategic. The scent blend can attract the natural enemies of the pest, such as tiny parasitic wasps that hunt caterpillars. The bitten plant is not only defending itself, it is reshaping the neighborhood around it. These airborne signals can travel with a breeze through a hedge, across a field, or between branches. The remarkable part is timing. The warning can come early enough that the next plant is already changing by the time the insect arrives. Some plants learn that touch is harmless and stop wasting defenses. In nature, touch can mean danger, like an animal brushing past, or it can mean nothing at all, like steady rain. Some plants respond to repeated harmless touch by dialing back their costly reaction. This is called habituation, and it looks like learning because the response changes with experience. The sensitive plant is a famous example. Its leaflets fold quickly after contact, but repeated gentle taps can lead to less dramatic folding over time. That saves water movement, energy, and opportunity for photosynthesis. Other species adjust by reducing the release of stress chemicals when the same harmless stimulus keeps returning. The plant is not becoming numb. It is becoming efficient. It is sorting signal from noise. In a crowded habitat where leaves rub together all day, that ability can mean the difference between thriving and constantly overreacting. A single bite can trigger whole plant responses within minutes. The moment tissue is damaged, the plant detects more than a missing piece. It senses pressure changes, disrupted cells, and chemicals from the attacker. Those cues launch rapid signals that move through veins and living channels. Within minutes, distant leaves can begin shifting their chemistry, even if the insect is still chewing on the first spot. Some plants boost defensive compounds in young leaves first, since those matter most for future growth. Others alter sugars in sap, making it harder for pests to get an easy meal. Timing is crucial. A slow response can become a buffet. A fast response can turn one bite into a warning shot. This whole plant reaction is part alarm system and part logistics. Resources are rerouted. Repair begins. Defense rises. All of it starts from a single, small injury that the plant treats as urgent information. Plants keep time with circadian clocks, even in constant darkness. Inside plant cells, proteins rise and fall in steady cycles that match about a day. This internal clock continues even when the plant cannot see the sun. In laboratory experiments, leaves still show rhythmic movement and predictable gene activity under constant conditions. That timing matters because the world is predictable too. Dawn brings light. Midday brings heat. Night brings cooler air and higher humidity. With a clock, a plant can anticipate instead of react. It can open pores before photosynthesis becomes possible, and it can shift metabolism to nighttime work when water loss is lower. The clock also helps plants coordinate flowering with seasons, since day length changes across the year. A plant is not just responding to what is happening now. It is tracking when things tend to happen. That simple sense of time becomes a powerful advantage. Many plants recognize close relatives and compete less with kin. In crowded soil, roots tangle and overlap. Yet some plants grow differently when their neighbors are family. Experiments with certain species show reduced root aggression around siblings, with more restrained spreading that avoids draining shared resources. When strangers are nearby, the same plant may branch more aggressively, as if trying to outcompete for water and nutrients. The clues can come from chemicals in the soil, including compounds released by roots. This is not kindness. It is strategy. Competing hard against close relatives can lower the success of genes that are shared. By easing off, a plant can improve the chances that the family line persists in that patch of ground. It also changes how we think about selfishness in nature. A field of plants is not only a contest. In some situations, it is also a network of relationships. Plants can hear vibrations and adjust growth to match. They do not have ears, but they can detect vibration through touch-sensitive structures and cell membranes. A caterpillar chewing produces a different vibration pattern than a gust of wind, and some plants respond more strongly to the chewing signature. That can mean ramping up defenses sooner while ignoring harmless background motion. Vibration can also guide growth. Roots may respond to subtle mechanical cues in soil, and stems can strengthen when repeatedly shaken, which helps them resist storms. In research settings, certain frequencies have been linked to shifts in gene activity and hormone levels. The plant is not listening to a song. It is reading the physical world through tremors. Life is full of motion, even when it looks still. For a plant, vibration is another stream of information, like light or moisture. Sensing it expands the map of what awareness can be. A vine can find support quickly by steering toward touch cues. Climbing plants are masters of opportunity. Tendrils sweep through space in slow arcs, searching for something solid. When a tendril brushes a pole, a branch, or even a wire, cells on one side grow differently than cells on the other. That uneven growth curls the tendril around the support, and the grip tightens as tissues stiffen. The result is a rapid change in direction and in architecture. The vine stops spending energy on thick, self-supporting stems, and it redirects growth upward by borrowing strength from its environment. Some tendrils can even choose between surfaces, preferring shapes that promise a secure hold. To us, it looks like a simple coil. To the plant, it is a smart shortcut. It is using touch as guidance, turning a chance contact into a climbing plan that reaches light faster. Some flowers track the sun daily, then reset to face dawn. In a field, the heads swing from east to west as the day unfolds, and it looks almost like attention. Young sunflowers do this most strongly while they are still growing. Their stems lengthen a little more on one side than the other, and that uneven growth slowly turns the whole plant. As evening comes, the motion reverses through the night, so the flower is ready for first light. That reset matters because morning warmth and light can jumpstart activity, and it can make the plant more inviting to early pollinators. Then, something even stranger happens. When the flower matures and fills with seeds, it often stops tracking and settles facing east. It is as if the plant switches from chasing light to choosing a dependable daily advantage. When light shifts, Seedlings change shape in minutes, not days. A seedling is built for speed, because early life is a race. When light comes strongly from one side, cells quickly shift their growth rates, so the stem bends toward the brighter direction. The change begins with sensors that detect the light gradient, then hormones move and redistribute, and the stem becomes an arc that aims the leaves where energy is richest. If the light fades, the plant can change its priorities again, putting more effort into reaching upward or spreading leaves outward. This is not a slow drift that takes weeks to notice. It can begin so quickly that time-lapse video makes it feel like a creature searching. For a tiny plant that has only a small reserve of stored food, those minutes matter. Turning toward light early can decide whether it becomes a thriving plant or a brief green attempt. Shade signals can make plants stretch tall before shade arrives. Plants do not wait for darkness to fall on them. Many can detect the light signature of nearby leaves, and that signature changes before actual shade arrives. Leaves absorb more red light and reflect more far red light, so a plant surrounded by neighbors receives a warning that competition is close. With that cue, it can shift into a strategy called shade avoidance. Stems elongate, leaf angles change, and growth pushes upward to escape the coming canopy. It is a prediction based on physics. The plant reads the color of light as a forecast of future conditions. This early move can be life-saving in dense vegetation, but it has a cost. Stretching tall can mean thinner stems and fewer resources for roots. That trade-off is part of the intelligence, because the plant is choosing a risky sprint when the situation demands it. Roots can avoid salty patches by steering growth away. Salt is a hidden danger, because it can pull water out of cells and stress a plant even when soil looks moist. Roots can sense rising salt levels and respond with a kind of navigation, turning growth towards safer ground. This behavior is called holotropism, and it is more than simple damage control. The root tip detects salt, shifts hormone patterns, and bends its path, often choosing a longer route to reach fresher soil. In coastal areas, along roads treated with de-icing salt, or in fields with salty irrigation water, this steering can be the difference between survival and collapse. The clever part is that the root does not only retreat. It explores, sampling new directions until it finds conditions that allow water to enter again. What looks like a static plant is underground, making root decisions in response to a landscape of invisible chemistry. Plants sense gravity, then rebuild their inner scaffolding to align. Turn a potted plant on its side, and it begins to correct itself. Shoots curve upward, roots curve downward. This is gravitropism, and it starts with tiny, heavy bodies inside certain cells. They settle like grains in a snow globe, and their position tells the plant which way is down. That simple physical cue triggers a cascade of growth changes. Hormones shift to one side of the stem or root, and cells expand unevenly, creating a bend that restores orientation. The adjustment is not only about direction. Inside the tissues, the plant also reorganizes support. Fibers strengthen, and cell walls remodel, so the new posture can hold steady. It is like a building that senses a tilt and quietly reinforces the beams while it straightens. Gravity never stops pulling, so this constant alignment is a lifelong conversation between physics and living growth. A tree can reroute water around injury, like detouring traffic. Water moves through a tree in long columns inside xylem, and those columns can fail if air enters after damage or drought. When that happens, the tree cannot simply patch a pipe. Instead, it changes the route. It can seal off the compromised pathways and rely on neighboring conduits, drawing water through alternate channels that still function. Some trees also grow new wood that improves future flow, building fresh plumbing around old trouble spots. You can think of it as a city closing a broken bridge and redirecting cars through side streets, then constructing a new overpass over time. This rerouting can keep leaves supplied even after a branch snaps or a trunk is wounded. It is not instant magic, and some tissues may be sacrificed, but the overall system survives. The surprising lesson is that a tree is not one pipe. It is a flexible network built to adapt. Stomata act like tiny valves, balancing thirst against carbon hunger. On the surface of many leaves are microscopic openings called stomata. They are the gateways for carbon dioxide, and they are also the main exits for water vapor. Each opening is controlled by two guard cells that swell or relax to open and close the pore. This is where a plant makes a daily bargain. Open wide, and photosynthesis can run fast, but water escapes. Close down, and water is saved, but growth slows because carbon cannot enter as easily. The plant constantly adjusts these valves using light cues, internal water status, humidity, and chemical signals. It is a real-time budget, managed pore by pore across an entire leaf. Even a light breeze or a sudden cloud can change the decision. When you look at a plant and see stillness, imagine millions of tiny mouths negotiating all day long between the need to drink and the need to breathe. Plants can close pores in drought, then reopen when safe. During drought, closing stomata can keep a plant alive, but it also risks overheating and starving photosynthesis. So the plant treats closure as a temporary mode, not a permanent shutdown. Chemical signals rise when water tension becomes dangerous, and guard cells lose pressure, sealing the pores. The leaf temperature can climb, and growth may pause, but the plant is buying time. When moisture returns, reopening is not automatic. The plant tests conditions. Is the air still dry and windy? Is the soil truly rehydrated? Are roots able to supply water without strain? Only then do the pores open again, sometimes gradually, sometimes in pulses. This is risk management. A plant that reopens too fast can crash back into stress within hours. A plant that waits too long misses valuable carbon intake. The drama is that this calculation happens without thought in the human sense, yet it is still a careful decision shaped by survival. Many species prime defenses, staying ready after a near miss. Sometimes a plant gets a warning without major damage. An insect may lay eggs on a leaf, a neighboring plant may release alarm scents, or a brief nibble may stop before it becomes an attack. In those moments, many plants shift into a primed state. They do not fully deploy expensive defenses, but they arrange their internal systems so they can respond faster if the threat returns. Enzymes and signaling proteins become easier to activate, and defensive pathways sit closer to the starting line. It is like sleeping with your shoes on after hearing footsteps outside. This readiness can make the next response quicker and stronger, which is crucial when pests multiply quickly. Priming also helps a plant avoid crying wolf. Instead of staying in full panic mode for days, it keeps a lighter stance, alert but economical. That balance is what makes priming so effective and so fascinating. A plant can localize defense chemicals right where the damage starts. When a leaf is wounded, the plant often does not spread its strongest chemicals everywhere. It concentrates them where they matter most. Around the bite, cells can flood the area with bitter compounds, sticky latex, or fast-acting toxins that make the next mouthful unpleasant. Some plants build physical defenses too, thickening cell walls or sealing channels so sap cannot be easily drained. In resin-producing trees, sticky resins can ooze into damaged tissue, trapping insects and blocking microbes from entering. This targeted response saves energy. It also reduces self-harm, since many defensive chemicals are risky if they build up in healthy tissues. The plant is aiming its resources like a spotlight, bright at the wound and dim elsewhere. That precision tells you something important. The plant is not just reacting. It is organizing a response, choosing where to spend and where to spare. In the language of survival, that is strategy. Insect saliva can trigger plant alarms, beyond simple chewing damage. When a caterpillar takes a bite, the plant is not only noticing torn tissue, it can also detect chemical signatures delivered in the attacker's saliva. That matters because it helps the plant identify what is happening, not just that something hurts. Different herbivores leave different biochemical fingerprints, and those fingerprints can steer the plant toward a more effective response. One attacker might trigger a surge of bitter compounds that make leaves taste awful. Another might trigger changes that interfere with digestion, so the insect gets less nutrition from each bite. It is like recognizing the difference between a scratch and a break-in, then choosing the right kind of alarm. The plant is reading its enemy at close range. That is a startling idea because it turns feeding into a conversation. The insect is not only taking, it is also revealing itself. Certain flowers time scent release to the exact hour pollinators visit. A flower's perfume is not always on. For many species, scent is expensive to make, and it is useless if the right visitor is not active. So some flowers synchronize fragrance with the schedule of their best pollinators. Day bloomers may intensify scent in morning warmth, when bees start foraging. Night bloomers can hold back all day, then release a stronger plume after dusk to guide moths or bats. Timing can be so precise that scent rises and falls like a tide, night after night. The flower is not guessing. It is matching a reliable pattern in the outside world. That match increases the chance of pollen transfer while reducing wasted effort. It also shapes an insect's routine because the pollinator learns that this smell means reward at this hour. The result feels like choreography. Plants can change nectar chemistry, shaping what pollinators learn. Nectar is not always just sugar water. Plants can adjust its recipe, and those changes can influence how pollinators behave. If nectar is too rich, a pollinator may linger and visit fewer flowers. If it is slightly leaner, the pollinator may move on quickly, which can spread pollen farther. Some plants also vary nectar volume through the day, which rewards visitors that arrive at the best time. In certain cases, plants include trace compounds that can affect memory and preference, so a pollinator becomes more likely to return to the same species. This is not mind control in a comic book sense. It is subtle behavioral shaping through chemistry. The plant is tuning an incentive system. The pollinator is learning what to seek and where to find it. Over many visits, that feedback can build loyalty, and loyalty can become reproductive success. Some orchids trick insects by mimicking pheromones with perfect precision. Imagine arriving for a date because the scent in the air feels unmistakable. Some orchids exploit that exact instinct. They produce chemicals that closely resemble the pheromones of a female insect, and they pair that scent with a visual shape that seals the deception. A male insect attempts to mate with the flower, and in the struggle, pollen packets attach to its body. When the insect repeats the mistake on another orchid, pollination happens without any nectar payment. It is one of the boldest strategies in the plant world, and it works because it targets a powerful drive. The orchid is not luring a general visitor. It is targeting a specific species with a precise message. That precision is the astonishing part. The plant has evolved a signal that matches an animal's private language. It is biology as impersonation, and it is highly effective. A wounded leaf can send fast electrical pulses through the plant. Damage does not stay local. When a leaf is chewed or torn, the plant can generate an electrical change that travels through its tissues, moving faster than most people expect from a plant. Think of it as a ripple of voltage, passing along living conduits and across cell connections. As that pulse arrives in distant leaves, it can help trigger defensive readiness and resource shifts. The plant is not waiting for slow diffusion of chemicals alone. It has a rapid communication layer that helps coordinate the whole organism. This does not mean plants have nerves. It means electrical signaling is a basic feature of living cells, and plants use it in their own way. The drama is scale. One small wound can become a whole plant message. A bite on one leaf can influence decisions across a branch, across a stem, and into other leaves that have not been touched. Electrical signals can travel long distances without any nerves at all. It is tempting to think electricity belongs to animal nervous systems, yet plants can move electrical changes through their bodies using different structures. Living plant cells maintain voltage differences across membranes. When conditions change, channels open, ions shift, and voltage patterns can propagate from cell to cell. Vascular tissues help because they provide long pathways where signals can spread efficiently. The result can be a message that moves from a leaf tip down to roots, or from a damaged branch to healthy ones. This makes sense in a world where threats are patchy. A plant needs coordination across distance. It needs to tell far tissues that something has changed, and it needs to do it before the threat spreads. Electricity gives speed. Chemistry gives specificity. Together, they let a plant respond as a unified organism, even though it is built from repeating parts. Coordination becomes its version of quick thinking. A plant's calcium waves can act like internal emergency broadcasts. Calcium is famous for bones, yet inside cells it acts more like a messenger. When a plant senses danger or stress, calcium levels can spike in certain regions, then spread as waves through tissues. Each wave is like a pattern, not just a flood. Different stresses can create different calcium signatures, and those signatures can activate different responses. One pattern might trigger defense genes, another might trigger repair processes. The plant is using a common molecule as a signal carrier, and it is doing it with timing and shape. That is what makes it feel like an internal broadcast system. Calcium waves can also integrate with electrical pulses and hormones, which creates a layered communication network. Nothing about it requires a brain. It requires cells that can send and receive. When you picture a plant responding to a sudden threat, imagine ripples of calcium moving through living tissue like a coordinated alert. Plants use hormones as messages, not just growth controls. Plant hormones are often described as growth regulators, but they are also a language. A hormone can be produced in one place, moved through the plant, and interpreted elsewhere as instruction. That instruction might be about when to grow, when to pause, when to defend, or when to prepare for stress. What makes this fascinating is context. The same hormone can mean different things depending on where it appears, how much is present, and what other signals are active at the same time. The plant is not flipping one switch. It is combining signals into meaning. Hormones also allow long-distance coordination because a leaf can inform a root, and a root can inform a leaf. This is how a plant behaves like a single organism instead of a collection of parts. When you see a plant change course after a problem, hormones are often carrying the story through its tissues. One hormone can signal danger, while another signals rebuilding and repair. A plant under threat has to balance two urgent goals. It must stop the damage, and it must keep living. Different hormones help divide that labor. Some rise during attack or stress and push the plant toward defense, which can include closing pores, changing metabolism, and activating protective genes. Others rise during recovery and encourage growth, healing, and the building of new tissue. The fascinating part is the negotiation between them. Too much defense for too long can stunt the plant. Too much growth too soon can leave it vulnerable. So plants manage trade-offs by adjusting the mix, almost like blending colors to get the right shade. That blend changes over time. Early signals may prioritize survival. Later signals may prioritize rebuilding. This is not a simple on or off response. It is a shifting strategy, tuned to both the danger outside and the resources inside. The plant is budgeting its future. Systemic acquired resistance can protect distant leaves after one infection. When a pathogen lands on one leaf, the plant does not treat it as an isolated incident. It can switch on a whole body state of readiness that spreads far beyond the first infection site. Signals move through internal transport routes, and untouched leaves begin preparing, as if they have already seen the threat. Defensive genes become easier to activate, antimicrobial compounds rise, and cell walls can become harder to penetrate. The remarkable part is the logic. The plant is acting as if the first infection is a warning that more are coming, which is often true when spores are drifting on the wind. This response can last for days or longer, which means the plant is investing in future protection while it continues to grow. It is a coordinated strategy that turns one small battle into a wider shield. Plants can vaccinate themselves by remembering certain pathogens. In animals, vaccination relies on immune cells. Plants do not have those, yet they can still form a kind of immune memory. After an infection, they may respond differently the next time, and the difference can be faster and stronger. Part of this comes from changes in how certain genes are packaged and accessed, so the plant can reach defense programs more quickly. It is like keeping a book open to the right page, instead of searching from the beginning. Some plants can also be primed by harmless exposure to weakened microbes or by specific microbial signals, which prepares them for a more serious attack. Later, the memory is not a thought. It is a biological readiness stored in chemistry and gene regulation. The payoff is survival. When a pathogen returns, the plant can close the gap between danger and response. And in nature, that gap is everything. Some roots release chemicals that reshape the soil microbiome nearby. A root is not only a straw for water and minerals. It is also a chemical artist that paints the soil around it. Roots leak sugars, acids, and many other compounds into the thin zone of earth that hugs their surface. Those chemicals act like invitations and warnings. They can encourage certain microbes to bloom, and they can discourage others that cause trouble. Over time, the plant can build a neighborhood of microscopic allies that help with nutrients, stress tolerance, and disease resistance. This is not random spill. The mixture can shift with season, with soil type, and with the plant's current needs. In effect, the plant is editing the ecosystem directly beneath it. It is shaping who lives nearby, and that shapes what the plant can do next. Underground, intelligence often looks like management. Plants can attract helpful bacteria by feeding them specific sugars. If a plant wants reliable partners, it has to pay them. Many plants do this by releasing particular sugars and other food molecules from their roots, which favors bacteria that can use that menu. Helpful bacteria can then return the favor in several ways. Some help unlock nutrients from soil minerals. Some help the plant tolerate drought or salt. Some compete with harmful microbes, which reduces disease pressure. The cleverness is in the selectivity. By changing what it feeds into the soil, the plant can nudge the microbial community toward groups that are useful in that moment. It is like choosing which guests to serve at a long dinner. The plant cannot see the bacteria, yet it can influence who shows up and who thrives. This is a quiet form of agriculture, practiced by roots, and it has been shaping ecosystems for millions of years. A seedling can sense neighbors using changes in reflected light. Before a seedling is shaded, it can still detect that other plants are close. Leaves reflect light in a slightly different balance than open sky, especially in the red and far red range. When a seedling reads that shift, it can interpret it as crowding. That information helps it decide how to spend its limited energy. It may extend its stem to reach above future competitors. It may adjust leaf placement to avoid wasting effort in a losing position. In dense growth, this early warning can decide who reaches sunlight first. It can also change the whole look of a plant. A crowded plant may become taller and more vertical. A solitary plant may become bushier and broader. That difference is not only genetics. It is perception turning into architecture. The seedling is reading the light around it as a social signal and responding with a plan. Plants detect carbon dioxide gradients, guiding stomata and metabolism. Air is not uniform at the surface of a leaf. Carbon dioxide can be higher or lower depending on wind, crowding, and how fast photosynthesis is running. Plants can sense these shifts, and they use them to adjust how open their stomata should be. When carbon dioxide is plentiful, a plant can afford to open less and conserve water. When it is scarce, it may open more to capture enough for sugar production. Inside the leaf, carbon dioxide levels also influence which metabolic pathways are favored and how efficiently energy is used. This is a surprisingly fine-tuned feedback loop for an organism rooted in place. The plant is not only reading sunlight and moisture, it is reading the chemistry of the air itself, and it is doing it moment by moment. That responsiveness matters in forests, in gardens, and in crop fields where air can change across inches. Plants respond to touch by thickening stems, making them wind-ready. A plant that grows in still air can become tall and delicate. A plant that is regularly brushed by wind, rain, or passing animals often builds a sturdier body. Touch triggers signals that change growth patterns, and those changes can include thicker stems and tougher tissues. This response is called thigmomorphogenesis, and it helps a plant avoid snapping when storms arrive. The fascinating part is that the plant is not only reacting to damage, it is using touch as a forecast. If the environment keeps jostling the plant, more jostling is likely in the future. So the plant invests in strength, even if it grows a little slower. Gardeners sometimes see this when they gently brush seedlings, and the plants become stockier over time. In nature, that sturdiness can be the difference between holding leaves up to the sun or collapsing into the shade. Repeated wind can train a plant, making it sturdier over time. Wind is a teacher that never stops. Each sway slightly shifts internal pressures, and those pressures can trigger long-term changes in how tissues develop. Over days and weeks, a wind-exposed plant often becomes shorter, thicker, and more resistant to bending. Wood can form differently, and supportive fibers can be laid down in patterns that handle stress better. It is not just a stronger trunk, it is a stronger design. This training effect also helps plants avoid wasting energy on risky height when conditions are harsh. A windy clifftop favors compact forms. A sheltered valley can support taller growth. The plant does not make that choice in a single moment. it accumulates experience. Each gust adds another data point, and the plant structure slowly becomes a record of that history. When you see a tree shaped by coastal winds, you are seeing learning written in growth rings and grain. Many plants eavesdrop on volatile chemicals, even from other species. A plant does not need to be bitten to sense danger nearby. Many plants can detect airborne chemicals released by other organisms, and those chemicals can carry useful information. If a neighboring plant is under herbivore attack, its scent can prime defenses in the plants around it. Even different species can sometimes understand these cues, which suggests that the chemical language is partly shared. This eavesdropping can also reveal other events, like the presence of certain microbes or the ripening of fruit. Air becomes a message stream. What makes this so gripping is the idea of a community that is constantly broadcasting. Each plant releases a changing blend of molecules, and every plant nearby is sniffing the air with sensitive receptors. The forest becomes a conversation without sound. It is not mystical. It is chemistry, and it is happening all the time. A plant under attack can smell trouble and prepare before damage. If an insect is chewing on one plant, the air around it changes. Volatile compounds drift outward, and a nearby plant can detect them before any mouthparts touch its leaves. That early warning can start a cascade of preparation. Defensive enzymes can rise, leaf chemistry can shift, and tissues can become less appealing to eat. The plant is buying time, and time is precious when an insect population is moving through a patch. This ability also helps explain why plants in the wild can look tougher than the same species grown in isolation. In a crowded habitat, danger signals are frequent, so readiness becomes a normal state. What feels astonishing is the anticipation. The plant is responding to a threat it has not yet experienced, based on information in the air. It is a kind of remote sensing, and it turns a plant from a passive target into an informed participant in its environment. Underground fungi can connect roots, moving nutrients between plants. Beneath your feet, many plants are linked by threads so fine you would miss them in a handful of soil. These fungal filaments wrap around roots and sometimes slip between root cells, forming a shared exchange zone. Through that web, minerals like phosphorus can move toward a plant that needs them, and in return the fungus receives sugars made in leaves. What feels mind-blowing is the network effect. A single fungus can connect multiple plants at once, so resources and signals can travel across a wider living map than any one root system could reach alone. In a forest, this can turn separate trees into a community that responds to stress as a group. The underground world becomes less like isolated individuals and more like a cooperative infrastructure built from biology. Plants can trade sugars for minerals in a living underground marketplace. A plant makes sugar in its leaves, and it cannot eat soil minerals directly. Fungi and bacteria can, and many of them are eager to barter. The plant sends carbohydrates downward into the root zone, and microbial partners deliver nutrients back in forms the plant can use. This trade is not fixed. It shifts with supply and demand. When a plant is in bright light and photosynthesis is strong, it can afford to pay more sugar for scarce minerals. When light is limited, it may tighten the budget and reduce the flow. On the microbial side, different partners offer different deals, and the plant can influence who thrives by changing what it releases. The astonishing part is that this resembles a market without minds. Prices are chemical. Contracts are biological. Yet the outcome can look like negotiation, because both sides adjust until the exchange works. Trees can share carbon with shaded seedlings through fungal pathways. In deep shade, a young seedling may struggle to make enough sugar to survive. In some forests, the underground fungal links can soften that problem. Carbon compounds produced by a well-lit tree can move into the shared network, then reach smaller plants that are growing in dimmer light. This does not mean every forest is a charity. It means the network can redistribute resources in ways that change who survives the hardest years. A seedling that receives this support may keep its metabolism going until a canopy gap opens and sunlight returns. This idea is striking because it reframes shade. It is not only a sentence of slow starvation. It can also be a waiting room, where a young plant stays alive long enough to catch a future opportunity. The forest becomes a place where timing and connection matter as much as location. Some plants cut off support to neighbors that give nothing back. Cooperation in nature often comes with rules, even when no one is conscious of enforcing them. In shared fungal networks, plants and fungi can be selective about where resources go. If a connected neighbor contributes little, the flow of carbon or nutrients may decrease over time. This creates a kind of biological accountability. A plant that is thriving can favor partnerships that repay the cost, and it can reduce investment in links that are all drain and no return. The result is not moral. It is stability. Without some way to limit freeloading, networks would collapse under constant loss. The fascinating part is that the control can emerge from simple feedback. More benefit leads to stronger exchange, and less benefit leads to weaker exchange. From those basic rules, a complex social pattern appears underground. It is not kindness, and it is not cruelty. It is a system that keeps the trade worth doing. Root tips release signals that can steer microbial partners closer. The very tip of a root is like a searching fingertip, and it is also a broadcasting station. As it grows, it releases a shifting mix of molecules into the soil, and those molecules can act like invitations. Certain bacteria detect the chemical trail and swim toward it, then attach and multiply near the root surface. The plant can change the recipe depending on its needs, which influences which microbes arrive and which ones stay. This is especially important because the root tip is where new territory is claimed. Bringing helpful partners along can improve nutrient capture and reduce disease risk in fresh soil. The story feels almost cinematic. A root pushes forward into darkness, sending out chemical calls, and microscopic allies respond by gathering where the signal is strongest. The plant is not only growing into an environment, it is actively recruiting the environment it wants. Plants can detect phosphate scarcity and reshape roots to search. Phosphate is vital for energy transfer and DNA, yet it can be hard for plants to access because it binds tightly to soil particles. When phosphate is scarce, plants do not just suffer, they adapt. Roots can grow longer and change branching patterns, exploring more volume for the same investment. Some species form cluster roots that create dense brush-like zones built for intense scavenging. Plants can also alter the chemistry around roots, releasing compounds that help free phosphate from soil surfaces. This is strategic growth. Instead of building more leaves that would demand more phosphate, the plant may redirect effort below ground to find what is missing. It is like realizing your pantry is empty, then changing your entire day to go searching. The intelligence is in the reallocation. The plant is reading a nutrient shortage and redesigning its body to solve it. Nitrogen-hungry plants can grow finer roots to comb more soil. Nitrogen is a cornerstone of proteins and chlorophyll, and plants often live on the edge of nitrogen shortage. When nitrogen is limited, many plants respond by growing a finer, more delicate web of roots that thread through soil like a comb. This increases the surface area that can absorb available nitrogen compounds, and it helps the plant exploit small pockets of fertility. The change is not just more roots. It is a different root strategy, with thinner branches that can explore quickly and cheaply. In patchy soils, that can be a winning move. It allows the plant to capture nitrogen before rain washes it deeper or before neighbors claim it. Above ground, you might only notice slower growth or paler leaves. Below ground, a quiet redesign is underway. The plant is spending its construction budget where it will earn the nutrient it cannot live without. Roots can sense compacted ground, then grow around the obstacle. Soil can look soft from above and still be hard as concrete below, especially after heavy footsteps, machinery, or repeated rain. When a root meets compacted ground, it does not simply push forward until it fails. It senses resistance. The root tip slows, growth hormones shift, and the root may turn sideways to search for a crack or a looser layer. Some roots thicken to apply more force, while others split into finer branches that probe for a root through. This is problem-solving in a tight space. The plant is navigating a three-dimensional maze without sight, using touch and pressure as its map. The payoff is access. A root that finds a path can reach deeper water, reach new nutrients, and anchor the plant more securely. In a drought, that detour might be the reason the plant survives while another wilts. A plant can redirect growth toward moisture by reading water tension. Water does not need to be visible for a plant to sense it. Roots can detect differences in moisture through changes in water potential, which is the tug of water held in soil. When one side of the root system is drier than another, growth can bias toward the wetter direction. New lateral roots may form where water is more available, and growth may slow where the soil is drying out. This moisture steering is especially dramatic in sandy or uneven ground where wet patches are scattered like islands. It is also a reminder that plants do not simply endure their environment. They explore it. They respond to gradients, and they reshape themselves toward better conditions. The root system becomes a living antenna that searches for hydration, then builds more collecting surface where the signal is strongest. To a human eye, nothing moves. To the plant, the map keeps changing, and it keeps choosing. Hydraulic signals can spread stress information faster than chemicals alone. Inside a plant, water is under tension, pulled upward through xylem like a continuous thread. When conditions change, that hydraulic system changes too. A sudden spike in heat, a sharp drop in humidity, or damage to a leaf can alter water pressure in ways that ripple through the plant quickly. Those pressure shifts can act as a rapid alert, prompting responses like stomatel closure or shifts in growth priorities. Chemicals still matter, and they add specificity, but hydraulics can provide speed and reach. It is like feeling a tug on a rope before you hear the shout. The plant is built to sense its own internal flow, because flow is life. When water delivery becomes risky, the plant can respond before tissues dry out. That early warning can prevent cascading stress, and it helps explain how a plant coordinates distant parts without any nerves. Carnivorous plants compute timing, not just touch, before closing traps. Many carnivorous plants live where soil offers little nutrition, so they evolved a different kind of patience. Their traps are not simple snap reactions, because snapping costs energy and risks damage. Instead, several species treat contact as data. A struggling insect may trigger a sequence of signals, and the plant effectively checks whether the movement continues and whether it matches prey, not debris. In some traps, this means waiting for repeated stimulation within a short window. In others, it means tightening in stages, so the plant does not fully commit until the prey proves real. That timing filter keeps the trap from wasting effort on raindrops, falling pollen, or a passing shadow. The result is a plant that behaves like a careful gatekeeper. it does not just react. It evaluates, then acts when the pattern makes sense. Venus flytraps require 2 touches to avoid false alarms. A Venus flytrap is famous for speed, yet its speed is guarded by skepticism. Inside each trap are trigger hairs, and a single brush is often not enough. The plant typically needs a second touch within a short period before it commits to closing. That simple rule protects the trap from closing on a drifting seed, a raindrop, or a curious speck of dust. Once the trap shuts, the story keeps unfolding. The plant can continue sensing movement inside, and it can decide whether to seal tighter for digestion or relax if the capture was not worth it. This is a remarkable way to think about a plant, because it is using a short-term memory of events to guide action. The trap is a tiny decision system. It is built to say, "Prove it, then I will spend the energy." Some pitcher plants offer safe ledges, luring insects deeper inside. A pitcher plant does not chase prey. It builds an experience. Many species shape the rim and inner walls to guide an insect's steps, often using scent and nectar as bait. The surface near the opening can be deceptively inviting, with footholds that feel stable at first. Then, the geometry changes. A slight slip becomes a slide. Waxy coatings, downward-pointing hairs, or slick, wet surfaces make it hard to climb back out. Deeper inside, fluid waits, sometimes with enzymes, and sometimes with microbial partners that help break the meal down. What makes this feel intelligent is the design logic. The plant is not just a container. It is a funnel of behavior, nudging an animal from curiosity to commitment. The prey is not forced in by strength. It is guided in by choices that become harder to reverse. Sundews slowly curl around prey, like patient living glue. A sundew catches insects with sticky droplets that glitter like dew, and the trap begins with temptation. An insect lands, touches the glue, and struggles. That struggle becomes the signal. Tentacles bend inward, one by one, and the leaf can slowly curl so the prey is pressed against more sticky surfaces. The motion is not fast, yet it is purposeful. Curling concentrates the meal where digestion can be most effective, and it can reduce the chance that the insect escapes. The plant is also careful with its investment. If the prey is small, the response may stay local. If the prey is larger, more of the leaf can join in, wrapping like a closing hand. This gradual tightening turns movement into a guide for action. It feels like strategy expressed through growth, guided by touch and chemistry, unfolding over hours. Sensitive plants fold leaves after touch, using rapid auto shifts. The sensitive plant can fold its leaflets so quickly that it startles people, and the speed comes from physics. Touch triggers an electrical change that spreads to a swollen joint at the base of the leaflet. Cells there rapidly shift water pressure, and the leaflet collapses as if hinges released. The movement can discourage grazing, shake off small insects, or reduce leaf area during sudden stress. It is also a reminder that plants can move without muscles. They can move by controlling water, like hydraulic machines built from living cells. After folding, the plant slowly reopens, which restores photosynthesis and normal function. That reopening shows that the fold is not damage. It is a reversible decision. The plant is trading short-term stillness for protection, then returning to work when the moment passes. In a world full of touch, having a fast response can matter. Some plants reopen sooner after safe touch, saving energy in crowds. Folding a leaf, closing a trap, or tightening tissues can be protective, but it is not free. In dense vegetation, leaves brush and bounce constantly, and reacting to every harmless touch would steal time from growth. Some plants adjust by reopening more quickly when repeated contact proves non-threatening. This is efficiency built from experience. The plant is not ignoring the world. It is learning which signals do not deserve a full response. In practical terms, faster reopening means more time capturing light and more time exchanging gases, which support steadier sugar production. It also means fewer costly internal shifts in water pressure and signaling chemistry. In a crowded habitat, that savings can add up every day. The fascinating part is that the plant's behavior becomes tuned to its social environment. A solitary plant may treat touch as rare and risky. A crowded plant may treat it as ordinary background and conserve its reactions for true danger. Seeds can sense smoke chemicals and decide when fire has passed. For certain landscapes, fire is not only destruction, it is a reset. Some plants have seeds that wait in soil for years, and they use smoke as a reliable message that conditions have changed. After a burn, sunlight reaches the ground, competition is reduced, and nutrients can be newly available. Smoke carries specific molecules that can seep into the soil, and some seeds respond by breaking dormancy and beginning germination. This is a stunning example of timing. The seed is not sprouting at random. It is waiting for a rare event that improves the odds of success. The fire itself may be too hot for a seed at the surface, so the seed's best strategy is to survive the heat underground, then interpret smoke as a safe after-pra. Signal. It is a life plan built around disaster, turning a harsh cycle into an opportunity. Desert annuals wait for rainfall patterns, not just one wet day. In deserts, a single brief rain can be a trap. Germinate too quickly, and a seedling may die before roots reach deeper moisture. Some desert annuals hedge their bets by responding to patterns rather than one shower. They may require repeated wetting, a certain duration of moisture, or a sequence of cool days that suggests a longer season is beginning. This is not superstition. It is filtering. The seed is using environmental cues to estimate whether the future will support growth long enough to flower and set new seeds. That choice is life or death in an environment where water can vanish overnight. The outcome can be dramatic. One year, a desert looks bare. Another year, after the right sequence, it blooms with carpets of color. Each bloom is not only weather, it is the accumulated decision-making of thousands of seeds, all waiting for a trustworthy signal that the odds have shifted. Many seeds measure winter cold, using a built-in seasonal canter. Some plants face a problem that seems almost philosophical. If they sprout during a warm spell in winter, they may be killed by the next freeze. To avoid that, many seeds and buds use a process called vernalization, which is a way of tracking prolonged cold. Rather than responding to a single chilly night, they require an extended period of low temperatures. Inside the seed, chemical changes build up over time, and those changes gradually remove the brakes on growth. When spring warmth finally arrives, the seed is ready, and it does not mistake a short, warm spell for a true season change. This is a calendar made of molecules. The plant is not counting days with numbers. It is accumulating winter as a physical state, then using that stored winter to decide when spring is real. That ability helps synchronize whole populations, so flowering and growth happen when conditions are most favorable. Some plants delay flowering until they have felt enough spring. Flowering too early can waste everything. Frost can kill blossoms, and pollinators may not be active yet. Many plants reduce that risk by requiring a combination of cues that together suggest spring has truly arrived. Warmer temperatures may need to persist. Day length may need to pass a threshold. Internal signals in leaves and buds must align before the plant commits to making flowers. This creates a safeguard against false starts. It also means different individuals in the same species can flower at different times if their microclimates differ, which spreads risk across the population. The fascinating part is that flowering becomes a decision, not a timer. The plant is weighing information that arrives from the outside world and from its own internal state. Once it commits, it shifts resources toward reproduction, and that shift is irreversible for the season. Delaying is not hesitation. It is strategy, shaped by the memory of unpredictable weather. Plants can tune flowering to day length by counting night hours. Many plants do not measure the day. They measure the darkness. In the leaf, light-sensitive pigments shift between states, and that shift acts like a timer that runs through the night. If dawn arrives too soon, the plant reads it as a short night. If darkness lasts long enough, the message changes. This is how a plant can tell whether it is in the long nights of autumn or the short nights of summer, even if the weather is confusing. The leaf then sends a traveling signal to growing tips, and those tips decide whether to stay vegetative or begin making flower structures. It is a calendar built from light and chemistry, and it helps plants flower when pollinators, temperature, and seed ripening chances are most reliable. The astonishing part is precision. A few minutes of extra darkness can matter for some species. Two plants of the same species can disagree based on microclimate. Stand two identical plants a few steps apart, and they can end up behaving like they live in different worlds. One might sit near a sun-warmed wall, while the other stands in a cool dip where cold air pools at night. One might feel steady breezes that dry its leaves, while the other is sheltered and humid. Those small differences change water stress, temperature, and light exposure, and the plant integrates them into its choices. It may delay flowering, deepen roots, or thicken leaves, while its neighbor invests in height and rapid growth. This is why a garden can look uneven, even with the same seed packet. The plants are not being inconsistent. They are responding to local reality. Microclimate turns intelligence into individuality. Each plant becomes a living weather station, building a strategy from the exact conditions it experiences, hour by hour, right where it stands. Roots can recognize their own roots and avoid self-competition. A plant can fill a pot with roots, yet it still has a problem. If every root branch competed with every other branch, the plant would waste energy building redundant plumbing. Some plants show signs of self-recognition below ground. When their own roots meet, they may reduce aggressive branching compared with encounters involving unrelated plants. The cues appear to come from chemicals released into the soil, which let a root tip identify whether it is self or other. This matters because it shapes how efficiently the plant explores. Instead of crowding the same patch, the root system can spread out and divide labor, searching new zones for water and nutrients. It is a quiet kind of coordination, achieved without a brain and without sight. The plant is using chemistry to keep its own body from competing against itself, which is a surprisingly sophisticated form of organization. Some plants change root architecture when growing beside strangers. When a plant senses unfamiliar neighbors, it may redraw its underground blueprint. Roots can branch more densely, grow longer laterals, or change their angles to claim territory first. This is not just a response to reduced nutrients. It can happen early, before resources are truly depleted, as if the plant is anticipating competition. The information likely comes from the chemical background in the soil, including compounds released by other roots and the microbes that gather around them. In effect, the plant is reading the identity of its neighborhood and choosing a more competitive build. That choice has consequences. More root investment can secure future access to water and minerals, but it also costs carbon that could have gone into leaves or seeds. So this is a strategic gamble, and the plant makes it without conscious thought. It is social awareness expressed as architecture, and it happens in the dark. Plants can allocate defenses differently, depending on which herbivore attacks. Not all herbivores are the same problem. A chewing caterpillar removes chunks of leaf. A sap-sucking insect drains sugars and spreads disease. A plant can respond differently depending on the attacker, because the cues are different. The wound pattern, the saliva chemistry, and the way tissues are disturbed all help shape the response. One attack may trigger tougher leaves that slow chewing. Another may trigger changes in sap composition that make feeding less profitable. The plant also decides where to defend. It might protect tender new growth more strongly or concentrate defenses near the feeding site, depending on the risk and the cost. This is more than a generic alarm. It is targeted budgeting. The plant is matching its response to the kind of damage, and it does it fast enough to matter. That adaptability is a key reason plant defenses can feel so clever when you study them closely. A plant can tailor toxins, matching the biology of its attacker. Plants produce an astonishing variety of defensive chemicals, and the mix can shift depending on who is eating. That matters because insects and mammals process toxins differently. Some herbivores rely on specific enzymes to detoxify a plant's usual defenses. In response, the plant can emphasize compounds that disrupt that detox pathway, or it can change the ratio of chemicals so the attacker's system is overwhelmed. In some cases, the plant's chemistry interferes with digestion, so the herbivore gets fewer nutrients even if it keeps eating. This is not a single poison. It is a moving target. The plant is forcing the attacker into a biological arms race, where adaptation on one side pushes innovation on the other. To a listener, it can sound like mind games, but it is biochemistry, guided by feedback. The plant is reading attack signals and then choosing a chemical strategy that fits the enemy's body. Some plants emit specific scents that summon parasitic wasps. A caterpillar can feel like a simple eater, yet it can trigger a very dramatic chain of events. Certain plants release a precise bouquet of airborne molecules when caterpillars feed, and those molecules act like a beacon for parasitic wasps. The wasp arrives, searches the plant, and lays eggs in or on the caterpillar. Later, the developing larvae consume the herbivore from within, which stops the damage. What makes this so fascinating is the targeting. The scent blend can differ depending on which caterpillar species is present, and wasps can use their sensitive antennae to follow the right trail. The plant is not just defending itself directly. It is outsourcing defense to a specialist hunter. This is a three-level system: plant, herbivore, and predator, linked by chemical messaging. It is one of nature's clearest examples of plants shaping animal behavior for survival. Plants can warn themselves using airborne signals from their own leaves. A single plant is a collection of parts spread across space. If one leaf is attacked, other leaves may still be safe for the moment. Airborne signals help close that gap. A damaged leaf can release volatile compounds that drift across the same plant, and undamaged leaves can detect them and shift into a prepared state. This matters when an insect moves from leaf to leaf, which is exactly what many do. By the time the pest arrives at the next leaf, the chemistry may already be changing. What feels remarkable is that the plant is using its own scent as internal communication, almost like shouting across a room. It is not relying only on signals moving through veins. It is also using the air around its body. That gives redundancy, and redundancy gives resilience. Even if one pathway is slow or disrupted, the plant can still spread a warning to itself. Leaf veins act like highways, routing signals and resources efficiently. A leaf is not a flat sheet. It is a living city with infrastructure. Veins deliver water, carry sugars away, and move chemical messages that coordinate defense and repair. The pattern of veins matters because it controls how quickly different regions can be supplied and how damage can be contained. If a vein network has multiple loops, flow can reroute around a blocked segment. If it is more tree-like, damage can isolate whole areas. Plants build these networks with remarkable consistency, yet they also adjust them with growth and environment. When a leaf is attacked, the vein system helps deliver responses where they are needed, and it helps move the products of photosynthesis to hungry tissues elsewhere. Thinking of veins as highways makes the intelligence feel clearer. A plant does not need a brain to coordinate. It needs transport, feedback, and structure that supports rapid redistribution, and veins provide exactly that. Plants can prioritize young leaves, protecting future growth over old tissue. A plant cannot save everything at once, so it often protects what matters most for tomorrow. Young leaves are powerful assets. They have years of work ahead of them, and they will fuel future growth and reproduction. Older leaves may have already paid back their cost. Under attack or stress, plants can shift defenses toward newer leaves, making them tougher or less palatable, while allowing older leaves to take more damage. In drought, a plant may even reduce support to older foliage, because keeping the youngest tissues alive preserves the ability to recover when conditions improve. This is a hard trade, but it is strategic. The plant is not simply enduring damage. It is deciding which parts are worth protecting with limited resources. When you see a plant with battered lower leaves and fresher growth above, you may be looking at a survival plan in action, written in green priorities. Young leaves can act as sinks, pulling resources like magnets. When a plant is deciding where to send its sugars, minerals, and water, the youngest leaves often win. They are still building their machinery, so they draw in supplies from older tissues that can already fend for themselves. In plant science, this pull is called a sink, and it is not metaphor. It is a real flow of resources toward the places with the strongest demand. That demand can reshape the whole plant. A young leaf can steal the spotlight from a mature one, and a growing shoot tip can become a priority destination for sugars made far away. This helps explain why new growth can look vibrant even when lower leaves fade. It is a controlled redistribution that favors future photosynthesis and future survival. In a changing environment, this pull gives a plant a way to keep building its next chapter. A plant can abandon a leaf, sealing it off to save the rest. Dropping a leaf can look like failure, yet it is often a calculated retreat. When water is scarce, when disease takes hold, or when a leaf has become more cost than benefit, the plant can form a separation layer at the base of the leaf stalk. Vessels are sealed. Loose ends are protected. Then the leaf detaches with a clean break that reduces the risk of infection and water loss. This is called abscission, and it is one of the clearest examples of triage in the plant world. The plant is not simply losing a part. It is choosing to cut an ongoing expense so the core can endure. Some trees shed leaves in drought even outside the usual season, which can be a life-saving move that lowers evaporation quickly. The fallen leaf becomes litter, and later soil. The plant survives to grow again. Some trees compartmentalize rot, building chemical walls inside wood. Wood seems solid, but it is a living structure with defense tactics. When a tree is wounded and fungi begin to invade, many species do not try to heal the damaged wood. Instead, they isolate it. Cells around the injured area change chemically, and they create barriers that slow the spread of decay into healthy tissue. This process is often described as compartmentalization. Think of it as shutting fire doors inside a building, so smoke stays contained. The tree sacrifices the compromised section, then keeps the rest functional for years or decades. This strategy is why a tree can have a hollow trunk and still carry a full canopy of leaves. It is also why pruning technique matters, because a clean cut can be easier for the tree to wall off. The tree is managing damage with internal boundaries, not with a single patch. A tree can thicken bark after damage, boosting future protection. Bark is not just a coat. It is a protective system, and it can be remodeled after trouble. When animals browse, when insects scar the surface, or when sunlight and heat stress the trunk, a tree may respond by adding extra layers that make future injury less likely. That thickening can mean more insulation against temperature swings and a tougher barrier against chewing and boring. In some environments, thicker bark is closely tied to survival after fire because it helps shield the living tissues underneath from heat. What is fascinating is the timing. A young tree might invest less in bark when growth speed matters most, then increase investment after it receives a warning in the form of real damage. The trunk becomes a record of past threats, turned into better armor. It is not just growth. It is adaptation, shaped by experience. Plants detect UV light, then activate sunscreen like pigments. Some light is life, but some wavelengths are hazardous. Ultraviolet light can damage DNA and proteins, so many plants treat it as a signal to raise protection. When UV levels increase, leaves can produce more protective pigments and compounds that absorb those rays before they reach sensitive tissues. This is sometimes compared to sunscreen, and it earns the comparison because the effect is preventative. The plant is not waiting for harm. It is responding to risk. At high altitudes or under clear skies, this response can be especially important, since UV intensity can be higher. The result can change how a leaf looks, with deeper coloration or a subtle shift in surface properties. It can also influence how tough the leaf becomes over time. A plant is not only harvesting light, it is filtering light, adjusting its chemistry to stay productive without being burned by the same sun it depends on. Anthocyanins can protect leaves, while also altering what insects see. Those reds and purples you notice in young leaves, autumn foliage, and stressed plants often come from anthocyanins. These pigments can help by absorbing excess light, which reduces damage when a leaf is still developing or when conditions are harsh. They can also act as antioxidants, helping mop up reactive molecules produced during stress. But there is another layer that feels almost like visual strategy. Color affects how insects perceive a plant. Some herbivores use color cues to choose leaves, and changing a leaf's appearance can influence those choices. A reddish tint may signal that a leaf is tougher or less nutritious, even when the insect cannot know that for certain. So anthocyanins can provide both protection and messaging, shaping interactions with the living world around the plant. The leaf is not only a solar panel, it is also a signal, and pigment helps write that signal. Plants sense temperature changes and adjust membrane chemistry to cope. A sudden cold night or a sharp heat wave can disrupt the basic workings of cells. One of the first challenges is the cell membrane, which must stay flexible enough to function. Plants can respond by adjusting the types of fats in their membranes, shifting toward compositions that remain workable in the new temperature. In cold, membranes can become too rigid, so plants often increase unsaturated fats that keep them more fluid. In heat, membranes can become too loose, so composition shifts can add stability. This is not a cosmetic tweak. It affects transport, signaling, and energy production. The response can also be local. since a sunlit leaf may heat up while shaded leaves stay cooler. The plant's ability to tune membranes is a form of biochemical preparedness, and it helps explain how plants survive in climates with dramatic swings. The plant is constantly maintaining the boundary between itself and the world. Heat can change pollen viability, and plants compensate with timing shifts. For many plants, reproduction is the most delicate project they attempt. Pollen is especially vulnerable to heat, and high temperatures can reduce its ability to fertilize. That vulnerability creates pressure for clever scheduling. Some plants shift flowering earlier in the day, so pollen release and pollination happen in cooler morning hours. Others adjust flowering season over generations, favoring individuals that bloom before the hottest part of summer. In crops, breeders pay close attention to this, because a heat wave during flowering can slash yields without any visible damage to leaves. The plant is balancing opportunity and risk. Flower too early, and pollinators may be scarce. Flower too late, and heat may ruin the pollen. Timing becomes a survival tool, and it can change the whole rhythm of a landscape. When you see flowers opening at dawn, it may be more than beauty. It may be a workaround for heat. Some flowers warm themselves slightly, helping scent spread in cold air. A few remarkable plants generate heat in their flowers, and they do it for practical reasons. In cold conditions, warmth can help scent molecules evaporate and travel farther, which improves the chance that a pollinator will find the bloom. Heat can also create a more comfortable landing site for insects that are sluggish in chilly weather. Some species use warmth to volatilize specific odor compounds, including smells that mimic food or shelter cues. This is called thermogenesis, and it turns a flower into a tiny furnace fueled by stored energy. It is costly, so it tends to appear where the payoff is high, such as in early spring or cool habitats where attracting pollinators is difficult. The flower is not just advertising. It is powering its advertisement. That is an astonishing upgrade for an organism rooted in place. Plants can sense vibration from chewing before major tissue loss. Chewing creates a very particular kind of vibration, and some plants respond to it quickly, even before much leaf area is lost. The leaf surface and internal tissues pick up the mechanical signature, and that information can help trigger defenses earlier than a chemical wound signal alone. Early response matters because the first minutes of feeding often determine whether an insect settles in or moves on. A fast shift in leaf chemistry can make the meal less appealing right away. Vibration sensing also helps a plant avoid overreacting to harmless motion. Wind and rain shake leaves in broad, noisy ways. Chewing is more rhythmic and localized. By distinguishing those patterns, the plant can spend its defensive energy more wisely. To humans, it can sound like a plant is listening. In reality, it is measuring movement and using it as a warning channel, like feeling footsteps through a floor. Certain plants respond to sound frequencies, shifting gene activity. Sound is vibration traveling through air, and plants are built to feel vibration. In laboratory studies, researchers have found that particular sound frequencies can be linked with changes in gene expression and metabolism in some species. The idea is not that a plant enjoys music. It is that vibrating air and vibrating surfaces can act as information, much like wind or the footsteps of an approaching animal. A plant that detects consistent vibration might adjust growth, stress pathways, or resource allocation because the environment is telling it something about movement nearby. The exciting mystery is that different frequencies can produce different biological outcomes, which hints at a kind of mechanical vocabulary. It also raises practical questions. Could vibration be used to influence crops without chemicals? Could plants detect pollinators by wing beat patterns? The science is still developing, but the possibility is captivating. Roots can follow nutrient gradients, like slow-motion chemotaxis. A root does not grow into soil at random. It samples. Tiny regions of richer nutrition can nudge growth direction, and roots can branch more strongly where the payoff is highest. If nitrate is more available on one side of the root zone, the plant can steer development so it builds more absorbing surface there. This creates an underground foraging pattern that looks like decision-making because it is guided by feedback. The tip detects chemical signals, internal messengers shift, and growth is redirected in that direction. Over days, the whole root system becomes a living diagram of where the soil was generous and where it was barren. This matters in real landscapes where nutrients come in patches from decaying leaves, animal droppings, or uneven fertilizer. The plant cannot walk to food, so it grows toward it. That is a beautiful workaround for being rooted in place. Root exudates can deter rivals in a subtle form of chemical warfare. Roots leak more than food for friendly microbes. They can also release compounds that influence nearby plants. In some cases, those chemicals make it harder for competitors to germinate, or they interfere with early root growth, so neighbors start at a disadvantage. This is not a dramatic poison cloud. It is subtle, persistent pressure in the soil, delivered right where competition is fiercest. The plant is shaping its territory with chemistry, and the effect can be strongest in the narrow zone around roots where concentrations are highest. This can change which species dominate a patch of ground, and it can shape plant spacing without any visible struggle above the surface. It is a reminder that the most intense battles in a field may be happening out of sight. The soil is not just dirt. It is a chemical arena where plants negotiate space. Some plants practice allelopathy, suppressing neighbors with targeted compounds. Allelopathy is the name for a plant strategy that sounds almost like science fiction. A plant releases chemicals into the environment that reduce the success of nearby plants, which helps it keep resources for itself. These compounds can seep from roots, wash from leaves in rain, or enter the soil as litter breaks down. The result can be fewer seedlings nearby, slower growth for competitors, or a shift in which species can coexist. What makes this so fascinating is the precision. The compounds may affect certain species more than others, and soil microbes can modify the strength and reach of the effect. In some ecosystems, allelopathy helps explain why one plant forms near monocultures, even when many species could grow there. It is not only about sunlight and water. It is about chemical influence. The plant is shaping its neighborhood, not just enduring it. Plants can detect crowding and invest more in height than leaves. When plants grow close together, light becomes a competitive resource. A plant can sense crowding early by reading the quality of light around it, and it can shift into a growth strategy that favors reaching upward fast. Stems elongate. Leaves may become smaller or differently angled. Energy that might have gone into thickness or branching is redirected toward height, because being shaded can be a slow death. This is a high-stakes gamble. Growing taller quickly can make a plant more likely to reach sun, but it can also make it less stable and more vulnerable to drought if root investment is reduced. The plant is not blindly stretching. It is choosing a trade-off based on the signals it receives. In a meadow, this is why plants can look lanky in dense patches and fuller in open spaces. Their bodies are responding to the social geometry of light. Climbing plants adjust tendril coiling based on the texture of supports. A support is not just something to grab. It has texture, shape, and friction, and those details matter to a climbing plant. Tendrils can respond differently depending on what they touch. A rough branch offers grip, A smooth surface may offer none. When the tendrils' touch sensors detect a promising surface, growth can become uneven across the tendril, and coiling begins. The tighter the coil, the more secure the hold, but tighter also costs energy and can strain tissue. Texture helps the plant decide how much to invest. Some climbers also form different attachment structures on different supports, switching from simple coils to adhesive pads or twining stems depending on what key they encounter. This makes climbing feel less like a reflex and more like a flexible toolkit. The plant is not only growing upward, it is selecting a method that matches the material it meets and that increases its chance of reaching light safely. A vine can reverse direction. After touch, signals say no grip. A climbing plant often explores with sweeping movements, and touch is the moment of truth. If a tendril brushes a surface that does not offer traction, the plant risks wasting days trying to climb something it cannot hold. Some vines can respond by reducing growth on that path and redirecting their search elsewhere. Over time, the vine's growth can curve away and explore a new direction, as if it is correcting a wrong guess. This is especially important in cluttered habitats where many surfaces are temporary, like loose grass stems, or too smooth, like certain walls. Reversing course protects the plant's energy budget. It also reduces risk, because a failed attachment can mean a fall that breaks tissues. The fascinating part is that the vine is converting a simple message, "This does not work," into a changed plan. It does not keep insisting. It adapts its trajectory until the environment offers a better option. Plants can reorient leaves to avoid overheating at midday. Sunlight powers a plant, but too much heat can damage proteins and dry tissues dangerously fast. Some plants can reduce that risk by changing leaf orientation during the hottest part of the day. Leaves may tilt, twist, or shift angles so less surface faces direct sun, which lowers temperature and slows water loss. This is often called paraheliotropism, and it is like a plant creating shade for itself. The movement can be driven by pressure changes in specialized cells, so it can happen without new growth. That makes it responsive on the timescale of weather. A bright morning might invite open leaf angles for efficient photosynthesis. A harsh midday can trigger protective repositioning. Then, as evening cools, leaves can return to capture light again. This is not decoration. It is heat management. The plant is actively shaping how sunlight hits its body, balancing energy gain against thermal danger. Many plants optimize leaf angles, balancing light capture and water loss. A leaf is a compromise written in geometry. Face the sun directly and you gain energy, but you also heat up and lose more water. Tilt away and you cool down, but photosynthesis may slow. Plants can tune leaf angles over time through growth, and some can adjust day to day with subtle movements. This optimization depends on habitat. In dry environments, steeper leaf angles can reduce midday stress. In shady environments, flatter angles can help capture rare light. In crowded stands, different layers of leaves may take on different angles, so upper leaves avoid shading the lower ones too severely. This creates a plant that behaves like a self-designed solar array, configured for its local climate. The beauty is that the plant does not need to calculate in numbers. It uses feedback from temperature, water status, and light quality. Then growth and movement do the rest. The result is a living solution that keeps changing as conditions change. Plants can integrate multiple stresses, choosing the least costly response. Real life rarely delivers one problem at a time. A plant might face heat and drought together, or insect damage during nutrient shortage, or flooding followed by bright sun. Each stress has an ideal response, but some responses conflict. Opening stomata cools a leaf, but it can worsen drought. Investing in defense chemistry helps against pests, but it can slow growth when nutrients are scarce. Plants integrate signals from many pathways at once, and the final outcome often looks like a compromise strategy. The plant may partially close stomata while shifting leaf angles, or it may defend only certain tissues while conserving resources elsewhere. This coordination is a core reason plant behavior can seem intelligent. It is not a single reflex. It is a blend of priorities. The plant is choosing what to sacrifice and what to protect, based on what it senses now and what it can afford to lose later. That is decision-making under pressure. A single gene network can coordinate defense, growth, and reproduction trade-offs. Inside a plant, thousands of genes are not acting as lone workers. They behave more like teams, with certain networks acting as traffic controllers that decide what gets priority. When danger arrives, the plant may divert energy into defense. When conditions are safe, it may redirect that same energy into new leaves, roots, or flowers. The striking part is that these choices can be coordinated by connected switches that influence many traits at once. A signal from a chewing insect can push one branch of the network toward protection, while other signals pull back to prevent overreaction. In a short season, the network may favor flowering sooner, even if the plant is smaller. In a long season, it may invest in size first. These trade-offs are not mistakes. They are strategy, written into regulation. The plant is constantly deciding what future it can afford. Plants can enter dormancy, a strategic pause rather than failure. Dormancy can look like a plant has given up, but it is often the opposite. It is a planned slowdown that protects living tissue when the outside world becomes too risky. In winter cold, in dry seasons, or during extreme heat, many plants reduce growth and metabolism, then hold steady until conditions improve. Buds can remain sealed, seeds can remain asleep, and some perennials can retreat underground while keeping stored energy safe. The beauty of dormancy is timing. Waking too early can be deadly. Waiting too long can waste a precious growing window. Plants manage this by using multiple cues, like temperature patterns, moisture signals, and day length, so a single warm day does not fool them. Dormancy is an investment in survival across time. It is the plant saying, "Not now," and meaning it with chemistry, structure, and patience. Some species wait buds after injury, rebuilding the canopy faster. A plant may carry more buds than it seems to need, and that can be a hidden emergency plan. When a branch is broken, when browsing removes the tip, or when a storm strips leaves, certain buds can be released from suppression and begin growing quickly. Normally, the top of a shoot sends signals that keep side buds quiet, which helps the plant grow upward efficiently. Remove that top, and the balance changes. Dormant buds become active, and new shoots can race to replace what was lost. This is why some shrubs bounce back after heavy grazing, and why a tree can sprout new growth after pruning. It is not just regrowth. It is reserve capacity. The plant is keeping options on standby, then deploying them when injury changes the rules. It is resilience built into the architecture. Plants can regrow from fragments using stored developmental instructions. Many plants carry the ability to rebuild a whole body from a small piece because their cells often stay flexible in what they can become. A stem cutting can form roots. A leaf piece in the right conditions can sprout a new shoot. Even a broken branch that lands in moist soil can sometimes re-establish itself. This happens because plants maintain meristematic potential in certain tissues and because their growth is modular. They do not rely on a single irreplaceable organ system. Instead, They keep building new organs throughout life. That makes regeneration a natural extension of their normal development. It also explains why plant cloning works so well in horticulture. The fragment is not carrying a blueprint like a paper plan. It is carrying living instructions, stored in gene regulation and cell signaling. Given the right cues, the plant can restart its construction program and keep going. Ancient farmers unknowingly selected for plant decision traits, not just taste. Early agriculture did not only favor bigger seeds and sweeter fruit. It also favored plants whose behavior matched human life. Seeds that held onto the stalk instead of shattering were easier to harvest. Seeds that germinated more uniformly were easier to plant. Plants that tolerated crowding performed better in fields than plants that demanded wide spacing. These are not just physical traits. They reflect how a plant responds to cues and how it allocates resources. Over generations, farmers shaped the decision rules of crops, even without knowing the biology underneath. A wild plant might hedge its bets by sprouting at different times. A cultivated plant often becomes more predictable, because predictability is rewarded by harvest. This is a fascinating partnership across time. Humans selected plants, and plants changed how they choose to grow in a managed environment. The crop field became an evolutionary classroom. Charles Darwin studied plant movement, calling it a kind of guided behavior. Long before modern sensors and gene sequencing, Darwin and his son Francis watched plants with careful patience. They studied how shoots bend toward light, how roots orient, and how climbing plants circle as they search for support. What fascinated Darwin was not only that plants moved, it was that the movements looked directed, as if the plant was exploring and adjusting based on what it encountered. He described root tips as especially important because they detect conditions and influence how the rest of the root grows. Today, we would explain this with hormones, signaling pathways, and growth differentials. But the core insight still lands. Plants are not fixed objects. They are active organisms that use movement and growth as their way of interacting with the world. Darwin's work helped open a door. It invited people to take plant behavior seriously, not as metaphor but as biology. Jagadish Chandra Bose measured plant electrical activity long before modern sensors. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Bose built delicate instruments to detect tiny changes in living tissues. He showed that plants can produce electrical responses to stimuli like touch, heat, and injury. At a time when many people assumed plants were almost mechanical, his measurements suggested they were dynamic and responsive in ways that were not obvious to the eye. Bose's work helped push the idea that electrical signaling is not exclusive to animals. It is a broader feature of life because cells manage ions and voltage across membranes. The story is also inspiring for how it was done. Without today's electronics, Bose relied on creativity and precision, designing devices to amplify faint biological signals. His experiments did not claim plants had nerves like ours. They revealed something just as interesting. Plants have their own fast internal communication channels, and those channels can be measured if you know how to listen. Some plants go quiet under anesthesia, showing shared chemistry with animals. Anesthesia is usually discussed in human terms, yet some anesthetic compounds can also suppress certain plant responses. Under these substances, plants may show reduced electrical signaling, slower movements in sensitive species, or muted reactions to stimuli that normally rouse and trigger activity. This does not mean plants feel pain the way animals do. It suggests that basic cellular machinery can be affected in similar ways across very different organisms. Many anesthetics influence membranes and ion channels, which are central to how cells generate electrical changes. Plants rely on those same physical principles for signaling and movement driven by water pressure. The result is a surprising bridge between kingdoms. A compound designed to quiet an animal nervous system can also quiet a plant's responsiveness, because both are built from excitable cells that use ions as messengers. It is a reminder that evolution reuses useful tools, even in very different bodies. Plant memory can be epigenetic, leaving marks that influence later growth. A plant can store experience without changing its DNA sequence. Epigenetic marks are chemical tags and structural changes that affect how easily certain genes are turned on or off. When stress arrives, the plant may adjust these settings so protective responses are easier to activate later. The memory is not a mental replay. It is a shift in readiness, like moving important documents to the front of a drawer. This can influence how strongly a plant responds to drought, heat, or pathogens the next time. It can also shape development, because the same environmental event can steer growth patterns long after the original trigger is gone. Epigenetic memory is especially fascinating in plants because their bodies keep growing new tissues. A signal experienced early can influence later leaves, later roots, and later flowers, not by rewriting genetic code, but by changing how that code is read. The plant's past can linger as a biological accent in its future. Stress memories can sometimes pass to offspring, shaping their readiness. In some cases, the effects of stress can extend beyond one lifetime. If a parent plant experiences certain challenges, some epigenetic settings can persist into seeds, which can influence how the next generation responds. This does not mean the offspring remembers an event. It means the starting state of gene regulation can be shifted, so responses begin faster or differently under similar conditions. In environments that are reliably harsh, that head start could improve survival. In changing environments, it could also carry costs, because being on high alert can reduce growth when danger is absent. What makes this idea so gripping is its timescale. A drought or attack can leave a faint biological echo that reaches forward into new plants. It is a form of inheritance that sits beside genetics, not replacing it. The next generation may begin life slightly tuned to the world its parents faced, as if receiving a whispered forecast. Some plants reroute sugars under attack, starving pests of easy food. When an insect taps into sap or chews through tender tissue, the plant can change how it moves sugar. In many species, the flow of carbohydrates through phloem is not fixed like plumbing. It is adjustable like routing on a map. A feeding site can be turned into a poor neighborhood with less sugar arriving and more defensive chemistry arriving instead. The plant may also strengthen barriers in transport tissues near the wound, which makes it harder for sap feeders to keep drawing a steady stream. At the same time, sugars can be redirected towards safer places, like growing roots or protected buds, where they support recovery and future growth. This is a clever twist, because it uses the plant's own logistics to make the attack less profitable. The pest does not only meet bitter compounds. It can also meet emptier meals. Plants can choose to drop fruits early, to save the parent. A fruit is an enormous investment. It costs water, sugar, and minerals, and it can also attract animals that damage branches. When conditions turn harsh, some plants cut their losses. They trigger an abscission zone that releases the fruit before it fully ripens, which reduces the drain on the parent and improves the chance that the plant survives to Pisa. Reproduce again. This can happen during drought, severe heat, nutrient shortage, or heavy pest pressure. It can also happen when a plant senses that it cannot support every developing fruit to maturity. In that case, dropping some can help the remaining ones finish properly. It is selective sacrifice. From a human perspective, it feels dramatic, because the plant is abandoning what looks like success. From the plant's perspective, it is survival arithmetic. A living organism with limited resources is deciding which future is possible. Ripening can be coordinated by ethylene, spreading readiness across a tree. Ripening is not only a slow sweetening. It is a coordinated transformation that changes color, softens tissues, shifts aromas, and alters defenses. Ethylene acts like a chemical announcement that the time has come. When one fruit begins producing more ethylene, nearby fruits can respond by accelerating their own ripening programs. This creates a wave of readiness that can move through a cluster, which helps a plant synchronize attraction for seed dispersers. It is also a powerful lever for timing. A plant can hold fruit in a firmer, safer state, then allow a faster shift when conditions favor dispersal. The fascinating part is that this coordination is both local and contagious. Ripening becomes a shared decision across tissues, not just a clock ticking in each fruit alone. The tree is managing attention from animals, season by season, through a drifting molecule. Plants can sense oxygen levels, helping roots survive floods. Flooded soil can be deadly, not because water is absent, but because oxygen is. Roots need oxygen for efficient energy production, and waterlogged ground slows oxygen diffusion to a crawl. Many plants detect this change quickly, and they shift their metabolism to cope. They can activate low oxygen response pathways that help cells conserve energy and keep vital processes running. Some switch toward forms of fermentation, which produce less energy but can keep cells alive when oxygen is scarce. Growth patterns can also change. Root tips may slow, and new root development may pause until conditions improve. The key is that the plant is not only drowning passively, it is sensing the invisible shortage and adjusting its internal strategy. That ability helps explain why some species tolerate brief floods while others collapse quickly. Survival depends on reading the chemistry of the air, even when the air is trapped in mud. Some wetland plants channel air to roots, like internal snorkels. In wetlands, some plants solve the oxygen problem by building airways inside their bodies. They form spongy tissues with connected spaces that can move air from above ground parts down into submerged roots. This internal ventilation can keep root cells supplied even when the surrounding soil is suffocating. It can also help flush out gases that build up in waterlogged ground, which reduces toxicity. The effect is architectural. The plant's body becomes part leaf, part lung, and part pipeline. You can see hints of this in reeds and other marsh plants that thrive where many garden species would fail. It is also a reminder that plant intelligence is not always a fast signal. Sometimes it is design that anticipates recurring conditions. In a wetland, floods are not surprises. They are the normal world. These plants meet that world with built-in breathing roots. Plants can detect iron availability, then release chelators to capture it. Iron is essential for photosynthesis and many enzymes, yet it can be difficult to obtain because it is often locked into forms that plants cannot easily absorb. When iron is scarce, many plants respond by changing the chemistry around their roots. They can release chelating compounds that bind iron and keep it soluble, which makes it easier to take up. Some also acidify the root zone, which shifts iron into more available forms. This is a striking example of problem-solving through chemistry. The plant is not waiting for the soil to become generous. It is modifying the soil's rules. In the leaves, iron deficiency often shows as pale tissue with green veins because chlorophyll production suffers. Underground, the plant is already working on the supply chain. It is searching, dissolving, binding, and transporting, all to secure a nutrient needed in tiny amounts that nonetheless controls so much of its energy system. A root can change its microbiome, like hiring a new support team. The microbial community around roots is not static. It can shift with season, stress, and the plant's own signals. When disease pressure rises or when nutrients become limiting, plants can adjust the compounds they release into the soil. That changes which microbes are most successful nearby. Helpful bacteria and fungi can be encouraged, while less helpful groups may decline. Over time, this can reshape the root's immediate neighborhood into a more protective and more efficient community. It is not a conscious hiring process, but it functions like one. The plant is altering incentives, and the microbes respond. This can influence how quickly a plant recovers after damage, how well it withstands drought, and how strongly it resists certain pathogens. The root zone becomes a living support system that can be reconfigured. A plant is not only growing roots, it is also cultivating relationships tuned to its current needs. Plant intelligence emerges from networks, not a single control center. When people picture intelligence, they picture a brain. Plants challenge that picture. Their sensing and decision-making are distributed across tissues, with many local systems contributing to a whole plant outcome. Roots gather information about water, nutrients, and obstacles. Leaves gather information about light, temperature, and attack. Signals move through transport tissues and through the air, and the plant integrates them into coordinated shifts in growth and chemistry. No single cell is in charge, yet the plant behaves as a unified organism. That is the important insight. Intelligence can be an emergent property of many simple parts communicating, each following rules shaped by evolution. This is why plant behavior can look purposeful even when it unfolds slowly. The plant is not thinking with a head. It is responding with a body that is also a sensor network. Its form is part of its mind. In a forest, thousands of plant signals overlap, like a living conversation. A forest is not silent in the chemical sense. Leaves release volatile compounds. Roots leak exudates. Fungal networks link many individuals. In that crowded space, signals from one plant can mingle with signals from many others, creating a complex background of information. Some of those cues may warn of herbivores. Others may reflect stress from drought, shade, or disease. Plants and microbes interpret that background, and they adjust. The result is a community where readiness can spread and where responses can synchronize, even without direct contact. It is not a single message traveling cleanly from point to point. It is overlapping traffic, more like a busy city of signals than a simple line of communication. This helps explain why plants growing in communities can behave differently than the same species growing alone. Their decisions are shaped by the informational climate around them, and that climate is made by their neighbors. The more we measure plants, the more their hidden decisions become visible. For a long time, plant life seemed slow and simple because our senses are tuned to animal speed. As tools improve, the plant's complexity becomes easier to see. Fast cameras reveal movements that are subtle in real time. Sensors detect faint electrical changes that travel after injury. Chemical sampling captures shifting scent blends that rise during stress. Imaging shows water tension and nutrient flow changing across tissues. Each measurement adds a new window into how plants sense, communicate, and adjust. That does not mean plants are little humans. It means their behavior has layers we did not have the instruments to notice. The exciting part is that new methods keep expanding the story. As we learn to observe plants on their own timescales and through their own signals, we keep finding more coordination, more flexibility, and more strategy than, quote, we expected. Plant intelligence becomes clearer as our attention becomes more precise. As we come to the end of our journey through plant intelligence, you can let the ideas settle like soft soil after rain. We wandered through a world that looks still, yet never stops responding. Roots feeling their way through darkness, choosing where to grow. Leaves sending warnings on the air and shifting their chemistry with astonishing precision. Hidden fungal threads linking plants into shared pathways. Flowers timing their scents, and seeds waiting for the right signal before they wake. Again and again, the green world showed us something quietly surprising. Intelligence can be distributed. It can be slow. It can be built from sensing, signaling, and careful trade-offs, without a brain at the center of it all. If any of this has changed how you see a garden or a tree outside your window, you are not alone. Once you notice it, it is hard to unsee. Every stem becomes a story of choices, and every leaf becomes a small living negotiation with light, water, and time. If you enjoyed drifting with me tonight, you might like to continue with another sleepy science video. If you are still awake, there will be one waiting on your screen, ready to carry you a little farther. But for now, you do not need to hold on to anything. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. Allow your breathing to slow, easy in and easy out. Picture a quiet canopy overhead, and below it a vast underground network, steady and unseen, doing its patient work. You have done enough for today. Let the world keep turning without you for a while. Sleep well, and good night.